Commissioner Chantel Perrin,
Good morning.
and I am Chairperson Dennis Lin, and we do have a quorum to hold this meeting. Introducing from the Office of the Corporation Counsel, Deputy Corporation Counsel Susanna Tiapula. Go ahead.
Aloha.
Attorney for the Commission who is present to advise the Commission. Deputy Corporation Counsel Jean Campbell. Attorney for the Planning Department. And representing the Planning Department is Deputy Planning Director Jeffrey Darrow.
Good morning.
Who is present to advise the Commission. Okay, Commissioners, we did just receive a couple more documents to review, so I'm going to pause for 5 minutes so we can just go through the documents that was just provided to us, and then I'll come back to resume the meeting. Okay, so quick 5-minute review session. Okay, can I confirm with all the commissioners that you have reviewed the additional documentation provided to us? Yes. Yes. Commissioner Bailog? Yes, okay. Okay, I have noted that each commission has verbally confirmed they had the opportunity to review the additional materials and the submitted testimony. Some housekeeping items, please turn off or silence your cell phones. Public restrooms are located outside in the middle of the building on the Mackay side. If there is anyone here in person who would like to testify, please fill out the yellow sign-up form at the staff table. Also, if you have any written testimony that has not been sent in earlier, you may submit it now to staff. Okay. I'll move on to approval of the minutes. September 5th, 2024 and October 3rd, 2024 regular and continued minutes were circulated. May I ask for a motion to approve as circulated?
I'll make the motion to approve the circulated minutes.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Chair Daniele. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Perrin. Any discussion on the motion to approve the minutes? Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. As stated in the published agenda, members of the public may provide public testimony regarding any agenda item now or at the time the agenda item is called to order. Testifiers on Zoom, please keep your video camera off and audio muted until you are called by the Zoom host to speak. Please note that this is an in-person meeting and the Zoom platform and YouTube live stream are provided as a courtesy. Therefore, our meeting will proceed even if the Zoom or YouTube connections fail. Before we start to receive public testimony pursuant to Rule 1-5 of the Planning Commission's Rules of Practice and Procedure, I'd like to remind everyone to be courteous and respectful of all testifiers, staff members, and commissioners. Please direct all testimony to me as the chair. Testimony will be limited to 3 minutes per testifier for each agenda item. Okay, before we move into the public testimony, there is a quick, I'd like to go into a quick executive session to discuss a particular issue with the commissioners. So I move to go into executive session, please, for a legal question on procedure. So I move to go into executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. It's been seconded by Commissioner Baylog. All in favor of going into executive session, please say aye. Okay. Okay, so thank you very much. We'll call you back in when we're finished with executive session. Thank you. So if everybody could please leave the room for just a brief, maybe 10 minutes. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. The commission just came out of executive session to discuss the procedure and process of doing a findings of facts and conclusions of law, and what kind of process that entails. So based off of that, we will continue with the meeting here. So I'll first start with testimony. So staff, are there any in-person testifiers?
Yes, thank you, Chair Lynn. We have 3 in-person testifiers that would like to speak at the beginning on item number 4. They are Lisa Barton, followed by Lucille Chung. If you could come up to the table so you can be sworn in. Please turn on your microphones. There should be a dot. Yep, there you go. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I do.
Thank you. You'll have 3 minutes and I'll let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining, and you can state your name and the town you reside in and then begin.
My name is Lisa Barton and I'm a resident of North Hilo. I'm here in support of the bill regarding Papaloa Gym. I don't know how many of you guys have gyms in your neighborhood, but I think you'll agree that they are an essential part of growing up. And right now, not having a gym in our neighborhood has put a damper on our kids' activity levels. And we want to encourage good behavior, and gym is the way to do some of that. There's been an awful lot of discussion on how it's going to be built, where it's going to be built, and I wasn't at all impressed with the first design that came through. But in review on the second design that came through, I am in full support of the way it is pulling together, and I would really appreciate your guys' support in getting this gym built. I'd like to see it done before too long, actually. I've been involved with the gym for 45 years. I've been in that community. I've been at every level from volunteering to, I just helped create a little spooky room for Halloween. And I would say that's like my 45th year of participating at Popolo Gym for any and every sport event and holiday event. And we really need this facility. It's impossible for the kids to get driven outside of their community, which is what's happening right now. It's not feasible. We have a lot of kids that can just walk to the gym from school, from their homes, and you go to Powilo, you go to Honaka'a, you go to Honamu, you go anywhere where the kids can walk to the gym. It's really a positive thing. So please help us get our gym back. Thank you.
Aloha. My name is Lucille Chung. I was born and raised in Laupoihoi, just about a mile from Papa'aloa. And I am here to support the application for the SMA. Like Lisa said, she and I we're like sisters, been involved in community work forever. This gym was demolished because of termites when the pandemic health came about. And of course, the community was very upset. But since then, we have worked with PNR, and community lobbied for money, and we got $10 million in short order. even that is not going to be enough to complete the gym, but Heather's going to help us. Heather and the mayor's going to help us get the rest of the money to do the gym. But we strongly urge you to support this application because our community needs it. The kids need it. We adults need it. I don't live in Lopoehoe anymore. I live in Hilo, but my heart and soul is still out there. So I come to meetings like this to advocate for our community. It is important for the children especially to have someplace positive to go to and not get into mischief. I thank you for your attention.
Next, we have Heather Kimball. Do you,
Morning, Chair Lynn.
oh,
Oh, I guess,
sorry, do you swear to affirm the truth now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Lynn, Vice Chair Janelli. I'm here to testify as myself on behalf of the SMA for Papaloa Gym. The Papaloa Gym, the old one, was the place where people gathered for baby luau and birthday parties and graduations. It was where they had the annual Halloween haunted house downstairs every year. And it still turns my stomach and gives me a little bit of chicken skin when I think about the day where I had to go with the Director Messina from Parks and Rec and tell the community we're going to have to tear it down. It had been closed due to COVID. And during that time, it was being looked at for one of the ADA compliance projects. And by the time it got to looking at repairing the gym, the damage was too far gone. In fact, I was there during one inspection and almost fell in a hole myself in the floor. It was not in great shape, but it was heartbreaking to tell the community. But what has happened since has been tremendous. These ladies here were much, much too modest about their involvement. They were active in gathering signatures and community support and writing letters on behalf of the community to get the funds released. The late Mark Nakashima was instrumental in bringing in that money to the community to help support the development of the new gym. And I have hundreds and hundreds of letters upstairs that folks wrote to the governor to get him to release those funds to begin the initial planning. And as mentioned, there were some fits and starts on the way for the planning process, but ultimately we have a really beautiful facility lined up that will be there for the kids to do all kinds of sports. There's a senior living center right across the street, which means that'll be able to provide all sorts of opportunities for them to stay healthy and well and engaged in the community. I'm sure that our Parks and Rec department will do their utmost to ensure that the area is protected and that the development doesn't do any damage to the nearshore coastal area. So I ask humbly for this body to support the SMA permit. Thank you.
Chair, we have no one else signed up to testify in person at the beginning of the meeting, but I do believe we have some Zoom testimony.
Okay. Is there any Zoom testifiers?
Chair Lynn, we have 5 Zoom testifiers. The
And they're
first,
testifying before the agenda item is called, or they're testifying at the agenda item?
we have 5 total testifiers wanting to speak at the beginning of the agenda.
Okay, go ahead.
The first testifier is Naomi Milamed, testifying on item number 8, going to be followed by Deborah Green, also testifying on item 8. Please unmute yourself and turn on your camera so that I can swear you in. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I do.
Please state your name, the town you reside in, and you may begin. You will have 3 minutes, and I will let you know when 30 seconds remain.
My name is Naomi Milamed, and I reside in Kapa'au. So, aloha, commissioners. Mahalo for your work here reviewing an updated solution for wireless infrastructure on the Big Island. My name, as I said, is Naomi Milamed, and I am an Hawaii Island leader for Safe Tech Hawaii, Safe Tech Hawaii, a volunteer group serving statewide for several years. We educate and support our local community, and we engage with the legislative process to promote the balance of connectivity and safety in Hawaii. None of our work involves monetary compensation or personal promotion, and we're composed of thousands of local members that care deeply for the protection of the clean air space in Hawaii. Bill 194 has been in the works for about a year and has been crafted with careful consideration taken from a wide range of community members and groups. And even the planning department was approached for collaboration, but chose to take another path. Our group was pleased to offer our expertise where appropriate, particularly as we document other jurisdictions who have enacted protective ordinances related to wireless infrastructure. Bill 194 is a robust legislation as it accordingly reflects the will of the residents of this island over the desires of big business from abroad. Simultaneously, it lays out a process which allows for connectivity for all. I appreciate that two bills related to the same topic coming through the commission can be confusing, but I can encourage the commission to favorably recommend Bill 194 and allow the elected council members to make sense of both bills upon equal ground. Technology is changing rapidly, and one thing I appreciate from Bill 194 is it includes the regulation of small cells, which are a new and untested part of 5G. Small cells pose greatly increased exposure due to their build out and must be considered in any modern day legislation. In contrast, they are not mentioned in the planning director's proposed bill. The Big Island is in great need for a bill like this, 194, to protect the beauty, safety, well-being, and property values for all who live on or frequent our island. Councilmember Evans' bill goes into great detail about a fire plan and site approval requirements, which puts me as a resident at ease to have the process spelled out. In contrast, I have noticed that there are question marks in the other bill about who will operate, for example, surveillance cameras, lack of easements for access by fire department,
have
and
30
a
seconds left.
comprehensive fire plan, among other provisions that are provided. I do not see it as competition, as I support a collaboration and consideration with these two bills, but I must admit, after following both of them, that the timing has been interesting, and I hope for cohesion moving forward. Thank you very much for hearing my testimony. Mahalo.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Next testifier, please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I do.
Please state your name, the town you reside in, and you may begin. You will have 3 minutes, and I will let you know when 30 seconds remain.
Thank you. My name is Deborah Green. I live in El Valle, and I'm the founding director of Safe Tech Hawaii, a grassroots coalition of residents concerned about the proliferation of wireless technology and advocating for safer alternatives that don't damage human health or the environment. We support item number 8, Bill 194, because it represents an ideal balance between the needs of the community for connectivity while providing the protections necessary in light of mounting evidence of harm to people and the environment from wireless radiation. In my written testimony, I submitted 2 documents, one from the Environmental Health Trust and another from the Health Council of Marin, California. These documents, which total 108 pages, contain published research on a variety of topics surrounding cell tower deployments, distance recommendations, links to cancer and other health effects, liability issues, and policies enacted by many other jurisdictions across the country and around the globe. Hawaii County already has in place a protective resolution regarding 5G deployments that was adopted 4 years ago. This ordinance, Bill 194, is finally a follow-up to that protective resolution. Council members are elected to enact legislation in a democratic process. We elect them, and they represent our needs. The director has submitted comments that are critical of Bill 194 and gave an unfavorable recommendation. At the same time, he submitted his own ordinance that goes far beyond simply updating the code to bring it into compliance with state law. a law that's actually been on the books for years. Just couldn't help but notice that timing. We also couldn't help but notice that under the public comments section, the director listed nothing but telecommunications corporations and telecom advocacy groups. There was no actual input from community groups at all. In contrast, Councilmember Evans consulted with us and other community groups over the course of a year to craft her ordinance. Months of research went into it, using ordinances already adopted in other jurisdictions as examples to make sure it
You
met
have
all
30 seconds left.
to make sure that it met all legal and policy requirements. It was cross-checked, double-checked, rechecked. It's a good, solid piece of legislation that aligns with others across the country, and it deserves a favorable recommendation. Thank you for considering our testimony.
Thank you for your testimony. Next testifier, please.
Our next testifier is Isla Javeri, testifying on item 8, followed by Joy Bloom, also testifying on item 8. Isla, if you could please unmute yourself and turn on your camera so that I can swear you in. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I do.
Please state your name, the town you reside in, and you may begin. You will have 3 minutes, and I will let you know when 30 seconds remain.
My name is Ila Javeri, and I reside in Havi. And I'm an acupuncturist and herbalist, and I've been practicing for 28 years. And over the course of time, I've seen that I've seen the change from before EMFs were so prevalent to now. In more recent years, I've seen. I know you can't make decisions based on health issues, but I think that it's good to just be aware of this. That I've seen a change in people where when they've not been exposed to EMFs as much, their sleep has been better, their skin conditions have improved dramatically. I've seen someone who had burning eczema all over her body that kept her up all night. When she stopped being exposed to EMFs and brought it down to how her exposure was 20 years ago, that was when she noticed a real change with her skin condition. And I've seen this affect people emotionally and affect people in it as far as hot flashes and night sweats and many other conditions. And EMFs, like cell phones and 5G and cell phone towers, the radiation has not been time tested. So we're basically doing an experiment on ourselves in terms of our health and our planet and the animals and the native birds and the plants, all of it. So I think it would be good if we could err on the side of caution and not experiment. I appreciate your time, and I hope you'll consider Bill 194 because it's regulating the 5G towers more than the other bill. Thank you so much. That's all.
Thank you for your testimony. Next testifier, please.
Joy Bloom, please unmute yourself and turn on your camera so that I can swear you in.
Unable to start video.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? The
Keep doing it.
the video
Video, do it.
isn't starting. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Is it okay if I read without the, oh, here we go, start my video. Okay.
All right.
Aloha, sorry.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth now before the Windward Planning Commission?
Yes, I do. Would you like to swear in my husband, Roger, too? He and I are sharing the 3 minutes.
Sure. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, the town you reside in, and you may begin. You will have 3 minutes, and I will let you know when 30 seconds remain.
Aloha, I'm Joy Bloom, a clinical psychologist licensed here in Hawaii since 1983. I live in Papaico. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you. I wholeheartedly support item 8, Bill 194, and I'm grateful to Council Member Evans for introducing it. Those of us blessed to live here know that among all our beautiful islands, Hawaii Island has a wild, natural, fiery magnificence, and along with that, a special vulnerability to wind, flood, volcanic, and earthquake disaster. Bill 194 wisely offers some reasonable common sense protection against the predictable damage to Hawaii residents, their homes, businesses, private property, and our island ecosystem should a cell tower malfunction for any reason. And as we adult tech users have learned by now, all forms of technology in every environment do malfunction sooner or later. It's not a question of if, but when. For this reason, among other reasons, I respectfully urge you to adopt Bill 194. You will be helping to ensure that when future cell and antenna malfunctions do inevitably occur, they will only cause inconvenience to a few and not life-changing or life-ending harm to many. Thank you very much for your time. Raj.
Good morning, Commission members. My name is Roger Bloom, and I'm a resident of Papaico. Thank you for an opportunity to support Bill 194. I hold a graduate degree in engineering science from Stanford University. I know the history of inadequate FCC safety oversight of modulated cell tower radio frequency radiation. Government research funding in this area has been halted for decades as a result of donations and lobbying from the telecommunications industry. Independent research worldwide up to this moment conclusively shows that current cell tower microwave frequencies in proximity and over time greatly increase human cancers. The millimeter wave frequencies of 5G will have more power to harm humans and also animals, insect pollinators, and beneficial microorganisms. I love and appreciate the abundance of plant life and agriculture on the Big Island. We islanders are blessed with access to this healthy land and water. However, unregulated expansion of telecommunication industry infrastructure and frequencies will threaten this island's natural balance. Please act to protect our health, our environment, and our homes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Sorry, we just have there's an announcement going on the loudspeakers here. All right, thank you. Next testifier, please.
Chair, we have no one else signed up to testify on Zoom at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Any commissioners have any questions for any of the testifiers that testified, both in person and on Zoom? Okay. Seeing none, then we'll move on. Okay, so for item number 1 and item number 2, based off of our executive session earlier on the findings of facts, conclusions of law, and decision of order discussions, a suggestion is to continue these 2 items to our December 5th meeting so that there's more time to complete those two documents for the commission's review and approval. Yeah, so item number one is the applicant is Taylor Wang, PL-SMA 2024-000058. And item number two is the applicant Neil Jayang Singhe, application PL-SMA 2024-000060. So is there a motion to continue to our December 5th meeting?
I move to continue the review of these findings of fact, conclusion of law, and decision in order for denial of special management area use permit docket number PL-SMA-000048 to the next available meeting, which would be December 5th.
Well, Vice Chair Daniel, could you also include the second, or do you want, oh, two separate? Okay, so we'll just do a first
Okay.
one first. So is there a motion has been made to continue the agenda item number one to the next meeting in December? Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Baylog. Any discussion on that motion to continue? Okay, seeing none, roll call or roll call vote.
Commissioner Daniele,
Aye.
Commissioner Baylor,
Aye.
Commissioner Perrin,
Aye.
and Chair Lynn.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay.
4 votes.
So the first agenda item will be continued to our December meeting. For our second agenda item, is there a motion to continue to our December meeting?
I move to continue the review of these findings of fact, conclusion of law, and decision in order of denial of special management area use permit docket number PL-SMA- is that the same? 2024
0060.
0060 to the December 5th meeting.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Chair Daniele to continue to our December meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Perrin. Okay, any discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Daniele,
Aye.
Commissioner Perrin,
Aye.
Commissioner Baylor,
Aye.
and Chair Lynn.
Aye.
Motion carries with 4 votes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, with that, we're gonna move to agenda item number 3. Applicant is Renegade Towers LLC, application PL-USE 2024-000028. Application for a use permit to allow for the establishment of a multi-carrier telecommunication facility with a 150-foot tall monopole tower and related equipment and improvements within a 15,423 square foot portion of a larger 32.721 acre parcel. The subject property is located at 12-4375 Pahoa Kalapana Road, approximately 1,050 feet north of its intersection with Old Kalapana Road, Keokea Homesteads, Puna, Hawaii, TMK 31-2-007, a portion of parcel number 34. We'll continue to staff presentation by Alukahe Kala.
Mahalo, Chair. As the Chair stated, this is a use permit application for Renegade Towers LLC. This is the location map. The subject property, as outlined in red, is located in the Puna district of Hawaii Island, more specifically on the Makai side of the Pahoa Kalapana Road. This is the applicant's request. A use permit to construct a new 150-foot tall steel monopole telecommunication tower and related facilities within a secured 15,203 square foot portion of a 32.721 acre parcel. Sorry. Situated within the county's agricultural 3-acre zoning district. The facility will include a 2,880 square foot or 36 foot by 80 foot equipment area and a 12,423 square foot access road. The monopole will be painted to blend in with the surrounding trees. The facility will be designed to accommodate the co-location of multiple wireless service providers and will comply with all federal, state, and county rules and regulations. The proposed project serves to expand wireless telephone and E911 services to the residents in Seaview Estates, Black Sands Beach subdivision, and the surrounding areas. This is the county zoning map. Again, for reference, the subject property is outlined in red and is located in the Puna district of Hawaii Island, more specifically in the Kikala Kiokea homesteads area. The subject property is zoned agricultural 3 acres as indicated by the light blue color. Other zoning in the area is agricultural 20 acres, agricultural 1 acre, and forest reserve to the north. The state land use designation for the property and the majority of the surrounding area is agricultural, as indicated by the light green color. To the north of the subject property is a stretch of land that is designated as conservation. The land use pattern allocation guide map designation for the subject property is both extensive agricultural and important ag lands. However, the proposed building area is entirely within the extensive agricultural area. The overall site plan is shown toward the bottom left of the slide. The dashed line indicates the 2,880 square foot proposed site, which has been enlarged in the upper right corner of the slide to show greater detail. Access to the site will be from the Pohoa Kalapana Road. These are the elevations which show the 150-foot tall monopole, as well as the proposed chain link fence, which will enclose the project area. The slide shows an This slide shows an expanded aerial view of the subject property, again outlined in red, along with the closest neighboring subdivision located to the right of the slide. The red dot is shown to give an approximate location for the proposed site. The closest home is located approximately 450 feet from the proposed site. This slide shows a view of the access from the Pohoa Kalapana Road. This slide shows 3 proposed sites from the applicant. As original proposal would have a substantial visual impact. So at this point, I need to apologize because there was the photo simulations that were in the application were incorrect. But we will show the correct photo simulations as provided by the applicant. Out of the 3 proposed sites, the director felt that site number 1 would have the least visual impact. This slide shows an aerial view of the area with numbers that correspond with the photo simulation viewpoints on the following slides. This slide shows viewpoint 1, which is a photo simulation of the monopole as looking south from Pohoa Kalapana Road at the intersection with One Ele Road. This slide shows viewpoint 2, which is a photo simulation of the monopole as looking south from southbound Pohoa Kalapana Road. This slide shows viewpoint 3, which is a photo simulation of the monopole as looking northeast from the shoulder of southbound Pohoa Kalapana Road. This slide shows viewpoint 4, which is a photo simulation of the monopole as looking northeast along Pohoa Kalapana Road at the more northern intersection with Old Kalapana Road. This slide shows viewpoint 5, which is a photo simulation of the monopole as looking northeast along Pohoa Kalapana Road at the southernmost intersection with Old Kalapana Road. And with that, the director is recommending approval with conditions, and I am happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Thank you very much, Alu. Okay, any questions for staff? Not, we will move on to applicant's presentation. So will the applicant or the representative please come forward? And then after that, we'll take any public testimony for this agenda item. Okay. So please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission.
I do.
Okay, please state your name, area you reside in, and who you represent.
My name is Danette Martin. I reside in Kailua Kona and I represent Renegade Towers.
Okay, and have you received the background and recommendation reports?
Yes, I have.
And do you agree with the recommendations, including the
Yes, I do.
proposed conditions? Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to provide some backstory on this site. In 2008, I'm a consultant for Verizon Wireless as well. In 2008, Civil Defense contacted Verizon and said, we really need to have an emergency situation where we have coverage down because there was a lava viewing center. And they were concerned that it was dangerous and they needed to have some coverage down there. So both AT&T and Verizon Wireless put temporary cell sites, they're called CALs, cell on wheels, down by the church. And those have been down there since 2008, and they were really only supposed to be there for a year. They don't cover very well because of their placement and because of their height. So we've been working, I personally have been working to try to bring, to get a cell tower in this area to provide this community with cell tower coverage. So we had another property that we came to you and we got a use permit for, but at the last minute, they questioned whether or not we had legal access. And so the use permit was granted pending we could prove legal access, and we couldn't. And we tried to get easements and we just simply couldn't. So Renegade Tower stepped up and they said, hey, Verizon, we want to help you out. We want to build this tower for you. This is a new trend that's happening with cell phone companies, a new trend so that the cell phone companies can use their money to provide you with service and not have to put out that big capital that you would typically do. So Renegade Towers decided to do that. And so they came to me and they said, how about you try to find us a location? So I sent letters to everyone up and down the coastline there, anywhere that the radio frequency engineer thought would be a good spot that would have utilities by it. And there's a lot of state properties there, so there's not a lot available. I am a licensed realtor, so I put an alert on my MLS that please let me know when something comes up for sale here. Maybe we could do it that way. So something did come up. There was a foreclosure property and my client bought it knowing that we still needed to come to you for a use permit, but it's a very large piece of property. So we figured we could make it work. We also figured we originally came in for the first application we came in was for the tower to be closer to the highway. And then the planning department came back and said, this is a protected view scenic corridor. So we would like you to move the tower. That's my client did that at great expense and delay because we have to do our complete NEPA and archaeologist report, and we go and have to consult with wildlife experts, and it's just a really big deal. So we did that, and then we moved it to this location, and we thought that alt number one, which was the one that the planning department preferred, we thought that was a good choice too because it doesn't interfere with the ocean view of anyone. So you've got the subdivision. If you want to, could you bring that back a little bit where we're looking at the map? It would be nice if we could. So the subdivision, the closest subdivision is just Mackay of ours, not just, it's 450 feet away. And to give you some context of that, a football field is 300 feet. So it's, it's that plus more in it, and then there's a dense forest in between. So we thought that that was a good solution. And then, and really from the Malca side, you really can't even, there's nothing there to look at it. So we went along that way of planning. I was surprised when we got so many letters in opposition. We answered each and every one of them. And I wanted to kind of go through some of the points there. So pretty much everyone asked, how come you can't go on the new AT&T tower at Sanford Service Center property? So we went to Verizon's radio frequency engineer and we asked him that question, and he said, well, basically we already have service up there. We have, we get service up there for, we're on another tower that's up there. So that would be a duplication for us. And what we're trying to do here is fill a gap. So that just it wouldn't be worth us spending our money just to duplicate coverage. What we really want to do is we want to really get down to Seaview Estates. And so we asked them, well, then why can AT&T do that? And they said, well, most probably they had to make a business decision that they probably had a larger gap to the north than we did, because they weren't on that other cell site. So they were making their business decision to cover that gap. Verizon and T-Mobile are both, I think, on that other tower in Leilani Estates that gives that coverage up there. So they want to cover their gap, wants to cover down to Seaview. And this community has been without cell phone coverage for a very long time. The first time I came in for the application, I didn't get them this time, but there was maybe 50 letters from the community begging for cell phone service. And so, I feel bad because we thought we had it, and we thought, we could have given it to them quite a long time ago, but we didn't. So that is about the co-location on that tower. It's just not going to cover the area. Then people asked about the tower height. What about the tower height? And so Renegade went to Verizon Wireless and they said, with 100, they went, they looked at all these different spots and they said, could we just do a 100-foot tower? And then the radio frequency engineer did a study on it and found that they could only cover just the surrounding area. They couldn't get all the way down to Seaview. So they said they really needed that 150 feet in order to get that. So if they didn't get that, then they would have to have another tower somewhere down there. And then those people aren't going to like that either. The scenic corridor views, we talked about that already. We moved those to be out of the scenic corridor view. And it is behind the, to the backside of that subdivision. And like I said, he said 450 feet. I measured it this morning. I thought it was more like 177. But regardless, it's still a long way. And then I did, and I spoke to people on the phone too. And one of the ladies, she said, well, what about security? And I think that at this time there's junk cars in there and it's not being monitored at all. So my client has agreed to put a better security gate up in front. Each carrier has monitors their sites 24/7. It is essential for communications that they have it secure, because they can't have hackers coming in or trying to mess with the communication facility. So they take security super careful. And I think that answers that. They talk about people asked about the sound mitigation. And so this site has these outdoor cabinets, and the outdoor cabinets are climate controlled. And so they do have a little bit of an air conditioning. I have been on many cell sites and I cannot hear them until I'm almost right on top of them. So the people that live 450 feet away and has all that dense forest in between, they're not going to hear it. We do have an emergency generator, and I don't think they will hear that either, but if they did, it would only be during an emergency when the power is out. Or my client thought that it was a weekly test, but according to Verizon Wireless, it's tested monthly. And it's only for a 15-minute, just to get it running, to make sure that it runs. And we, like they do with our sirens, similar to that. So, and then when that happens, usually other people have generators going as well. So we're not the only guy. And then somebody said they wanted us to replace the damaged trees. So on our, we're using an existing access road that's in the property. And so we're not planning on removing any trees except for the ones where our site is going to go. And someone also asked about property values. That's another one. I told you I'm a licensed realtor. Cell phone coverage is important to homeowners. It is actually surpassed good schools. When we were growing up, it was always, what kind of schools are in there. Now it's, does my house have cell phone coverage? A lot of people work from home, especially since COVID. And so not having a cell phone is harmful for their property values instead of what they may think. And let's see, what else do we have here? We have, somebody asked, why not do a tree pole? So, well, tree poles do have its place. 150-foot tree pole is heavy. It's my client wanted me to correct something that was in the application because I said I thought it couldn't be engineered. And he said, yeah, it can, but it is massive caisson, massive foundation, massive tower. And he said the main reason why the national parks won't let you use tree poles anymore is because of the rubbish. They disintegrate over time, and then the little pine trees that on there, they break off, and then they leave rubbish on the ground. And then say a big wind comes up, I don't want it to go spread over on these people's property either. That wouldn't be fair. So my client has authorized me to offer, if anybody in that subdivision would like us to purchase bush or something, because if you are looking out your backyard and then here's all the forest there, you're only seeing the top of it. You put a bush or something, even something as small as a palm tree would probably cover it, because it's so far away, it's going to be smaller than if you were right on top of it. So that's how we propose to mitigate that. If somebody really just doesn't, I don't think they're going to even see it over time, but in case it really does bug them, my client is willing to buy them a sapling or a tree or something. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Any questions for the applicant's representative? Vice Chair Dan.
Yeah, I'm just curious on, in your application, you had mentioned the color of the pole, but then it kind of looked blue in the picture.
Yes, and it can be any color. We could change it if you folks want something else or the community wants something else. We've done brown trees. This is it's called a shaker gray. And it's meant to mimic the sky color. We can even go even for this area, we could even go a little lighter. But that's totally doable,
Mm.
whatever color anybody wants.
Okay. Yeah, because the tower they put up in Ocean View,
Yes,
they,
that's the shaker color.
okay, that's the,
That's
that,
it.
okay, that's what I was gonna ask, because it took
Yeah.
me.
You don't like that?
No, it took me 2 or 3 times to even recognize that there was a tower up.
Oh, okay.
Because it blended so well,
Yes, yes.
especially in the afternoon. Everything is that gray color, so.
That was the reason why
yeah,
we chose that
right.
color, because we did think that it went well there.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
Hi.
Commissioner Karen?
Yes, I have a question. I wanted you to ask if you could elaborate on how much coverage this 150-foot tower would
Yes.
provide to that community and what other coverages in the area it would overlap. So coverage would be somewhat, continuous as you travel throughout that area.
Okay. I sent this to the planning commission. Do you guys have this in your packet? Let's look at that. This is the coverage comparisons. So the first page shows, says we prefer the location, to it being centrally located to our coverage objectives. We currently have a site just north of AT&T's location that fulfills our coverage objectives in that area. And relocating this project to AT&T location would be redundant and require us to build more sites in the area to meet the same objectives. We would also be forced to serve these communities with 1 or 2 sectors. So a sector, on cell phone towers, they have sectors, they call them, and they have 3 antennas pointing this way, 3 pointing this way, and 3, so they get cover the whole thing. If you only had 2 sectors, because they said we already have coverage to the north, and you only had 2 sectors, you wouldn't be able to, you would be kind of missing out on the opportunity to have a 3rd sector cover more of an area.
So quick question. So when you say sectors, are they, I guess in an engineer mind,
Mhm.
are they looked as octagonal so that because your coverage would be somewhat circular? So
Mhm.
there would be sections that would overlap.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, so if you look, and they do it with azimuth, so you'll see on the drawings, they'll say, okay, these antennas are gonna go to 0 degrees, and this one's gonna be at 150, and this one's gonna be at 320 or whatever, that's just so that you can get the most, the most coverage, the most coverage for the bang for your buck. Right.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No, I just have one question. So if this does go on, will those 3 or 2 towers that are on wheels go away?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, at least Verizon's will. I don't know about what AT&T's plans are. I don't work for them.
okay. And this is just more of a general question for maybe some of the commissioners who live that direction, but is there a siren out there? Does anybody know? Yeah, there is a siren out there. Okay. Okay, I was just gonna ask because if there wasn't a siren, I would have asked civil defense to see if they could put a siren in the same location or similar location. But
Verizon Wireless works very close with civil defense and state emergency management. So they're in constant, communication.
okay, thank you. Okay, if there's no further questions or comments for the applicant, is there any public testimony?
Yes, Chair Lind, we have 3 people signed up to testify on this item at this time.
Okay,
The first testifier will be Robert Welsh, followed by David Cowlis. Are you Robert or David? Okay, is David here? You can go ahead and come up. I'll swear you both in at once. Please turn on your microphone. Thank you. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I do.
Thank you. You'll have 3 minutes and I'll let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining. Please state your name and the town you reside in. You may begin.
Hello, my name's Robert Welsh, and I reside at 12-4401 Ho'onone Road in Pahoa, also known as Lot C on the application. And I'm opposed to the current Renegade Towers cell tower application, which is situated approximately 750 feet from my property. My husband, David Davenport, and I purchased this property in 2005 after a long search for the ideal rural Puna location. We love the natural beauty of the place, and most important, the peace and quiet. In 2014, we built our forever home. Our idyllic homestead will be forever changed by this imposing 150-foot monstrosity, which will be visible from every room in our house and anywhere on our land. I'm certain that no one on this commission would want that in their front yard, right? Therefore, I humbly request that the commission reject this application and compel the applicant, Renegade Towers, to submit an alternative location for the tower. If you look at the applicant's overall site plan, a more suitable cell tower site can be found in the distant northwest corner of the property, bordering state land TMK 3-1-2-007:037. This alternative location in the northwest corner would be significantly further away from our hui and homes along Ho'onone Road, as well as the scenic corridor along Highway 130. A revised application should also incorporate the following measures: reduce the overall height of the tower to a more appropriate level, as the current 150 feet is not in harmony with the local natural beauty of the area. Mandate that the structure be constructed using a monopine rather than merely painted to camouflage it. Guarantee that any damaged or disturbed trees or screening shrubs be replaced. The installation process involves the use of heavy cranes and construction equipment. These massive and destructive machines will cause significant damage to trees and screening shrubs, particularly along Highway 130 and Ho'onone Road. Implement a block wall sound barrier around the generators and direct the exhaust towards Highway 130, minimizing noise pollution for our community. And finally, install security fencing along the property line and our shared road, Ho'onone Road, as we're concerned about safety and security once the tower is constructed. We cherish our property and neighbors, and we want it to continue to enjoy this beautiful land without the presence of a stark and constant ugly 150-foot cell tower in our front yard. The applicant has already chosen to move the tower once in response to Windward Commission's recommendation.
You have 30 seconds
as it
remaining.
pertains to the scenic corridor. We request that Renegade submit a revised and improved application in response to today's testimony by myself and all our neighbors. They could easily move the proposed tower to abut the state land in the far northwest corner of the applicant's property. This alternative location would be significantly further away from our hui and homes along Ho'onone Road, as well as the scenic corridor along Highway 130. I implore the Planning Commission to act with wisdom and to deny this specific application. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name's David Cowles. My wife, Joanna Etka, and I reside on Lot B next door to Robert Welsh and David Davenport. Up until this point, we've all been very lucky. We look out at the ocean, we look out at our fruit trees and flowers and the ohia forest without any visual impacts. What we don't see are other houses, roads, poles, or wires. And I tried to come up with an analogy of the impact on our little neighborhood. Is it a weed in the middle of our flower garden, a huge albizia towering over our ohia trees? But the problem with those analogies is they're naturally occurring events. This is a huge man-made tower, 150 feet. And at this point, the pictures that Renegade shows are basically one carrier. They want 4 carriers on this pole, which will, the impact will be 4-fold in terms of noise, visual, and other impacts. So I realize that with the current process, the permit's probably a foregone conclusion. Landowners don't have much rights. I'm not even sure how much this planning commission can do, but we ask you to set conditions that'll mitigate the negative impacts. I've submitted written testimony, so I'm not going to reiterate that. I'm going to focus on one aspect, and that's fire prevention. I never thought that would be an issue when I started writing this, but about a month ago, we had a fire in our forest. Through my own fault, a spark got underneath a downed ohia log and smoldered for almost 24 hours. I'd been in the area, I didn't see it, and it erupted into flames 24 hours later. We all have cell service there through Starlink, and I was able to get 911 almost immediately. And regardless, it still took at least 30 minutes for the fire department to arrive. My wife was out on 1:30 directing them. I was on the property, but they hesitated to come in. They wanted to walk our road to make sure that the fire trucks could get in. So one of the conditions I would like the planning commission to set is wherever the tower is on Renegade property,
You have 30 seconds
I
remaining.
would ask that Renegade work with the fire department on the access road, on the turnarounds to make sure that the fire department has access in there. And just reiterate, this is an unmanned facility. So it would probably take, if a fire erupted, it would probably take even more time for the fire department to come down. I know you don't have much time to look at the materials. By my calculation, you have only until next Friday to come up with a decision on the permit application. I ask you consider, and I appreciate you listening to our testimony. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair Lynn, we have one more in-person testifier, Mr. Aaron Wade. If you could come to the testimony table. Thank you. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth now before the Windward Planning Commission? Okay, great. You'll have 3 minutes and I'll let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining.
Okay.
Please state your name and the town you reside.
Okay, my name is Aaron Wade, currently.
Speak to the mic, please.
Oh, thank you. My name is Aaron Wade. Currently, I reside at 2598 Folsom Street in San Francisco. But I spent at least half the year here and on these properties, and they're can't tell you how beautiful it is to be there. And I hope you all have a chance to review some of the written testimony. I know there's some photo simulations in there that are far more accurate than the ones provided by the applicant. So you can really see how a tower of the proposed size would affect this what the planning department has called a natural beauty area. And the views aren't just towards the ocean. The views are west, they're Malca. It's one of the few places on the coastline that offers both a beautiful sunrise and a beautiful sunset. And this tower would just be right in the middle of that, about 3 times taller than the average canopy in the area. The applicant had previously proposed a 150-foot monopine just across the road. So they have established that a monopine is a viable solution for the location. The applicant claims that that won't work because of the rubbish, but the planning department has already established that these monopines weather Hawaii elements just fine. Okay, so it's all documented. We'd like to take up the applicant's recent offer to plant a screen, but a single palm won't cut it because you have so many properties with so many vantage points. So if they want to do this, I recommend a bamboo screen along the property line that would cover that tower from several vantage points. As mentioned, the photo simulations that they provide are unrealistic with a distorting wide angle lens. if you're going to use photo simulations to make a decision, then they should be accurate. They should show what things are really going to look like. The general plan requires that decisions regarding cell tower design and placement should take into account the existing environment, and scenic views, vistas shall be considered and preserved. The applicant's current description of coverage is severely dated by many years. There's good coverage in the area with AT&T, and both in the subject area and in Seaview target area. Their description is dated by many, many years. Notice that the applicant said that once upon a time they had people begging them for service, but they just said now they didn't get that. They didn't get that this time. So things have changed. They say they're trying to fill a gap, but that gap has been filled with existing towers that can offer co-location opportunities.
You have 30 seconds left.
Oh, boy, I have so much to cover here. I guess I should just really speak to property values. An eco retreat wanted to buy one of the local parcels right adjacent to the tower, and they pulled out when they heard about the proposed tower. So that speaks directly to the impact that such a tower is going to happen on property values. And I could get into the science of this. There are 4 endangered species located right in the area, all documented. I think that 4 carriers at one site continually emitting radiological.
Your 3
damaging
minutes are
environment
finished. Thank you
should
for your
be-
testimony.
I think the scale of this should be diminished dramatically. The base is 10 times larger than local bases in the area.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I wish we had more time, but.
Okay, let's see. Okay, Ms. Martin, you want to respond to any of the testifiers? Yeah, was there anybody on Zoom? Sorry.
Chair Lynn, we have 3 Zoom testifiers.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well,
You want me to sit down? Or
you can stay here. Yeah. Yeah, let's go forward the Zoom testifiers.
The first testifier is Nathia Thornton, followed by Javina Thornton. Please unmute yourself and turn on your camera so that I can swear you in. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I do.
Please state your name, the town you reside in, and you may begin. You have 3 minutes, and I'll let you know when 30 seconds remain.
Thank you. So my name is Nathia Thornton and I reside in Kalapana, less than 600 feet away from the proposed site for the new cell phone tower. I stand before you today to express my strong opposition against this project and share my concerns about how it can impact our community and environment. Firstly, I'd like to emphasize that this is an important matter, especially because it is on agricultural land, or wanting to be planned on agricultural land. This land is not only vital for food production, but it also plays a critical role in preserving our natural and native landscaping. Our community thrives on top of this, and definitely depends on top of our livestock and our fruits and vegetables to live a sustainable life. Furthermore, agriculture land serves as a habitat for diverse wildlife, contributing to the health and sustainability of our ecosystem. By maintaining these lands, we protect the environment and ensure the further generations to continue to benefit from our resources. Beyond its agricultural significance, this land holds a deep cultural and historical value to the native people of Hawaii. It represents our community by preserving the traditions and the practices that have been passed down from generation to generation. Building a cell phone tower is scarce on our scared lands will not only disrupt our natural beauty, but it will also be disrespectful to the Hawaiians and natives of our culture. I know that she mentioned that there is no cell phone service. I am a carrier of Verizon and I do have service there as well in Seaview. Yeah, I guess that's about it. Also, I'd like to note that she says that it might not have some impact towards visuals. As one of my neighbors did state, it would be right in my front view as well. And it would be very big and ugly, and I wouldn't be able to get to see the view that I have from nature. I strongly urge you to reconsider the location of this proposed cell phone tower, and let's prioritize where it's at. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Next testifier, please.
Shavina, please unmute yourself and turn on your video so that I can swear you in.
Hello.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission? Please state your name, the town you reside in, and you may begin. You will have 3 minutes and I'll let you know when 30 seconds remains.
Thank you. Aloha, my name is Shavina Thornton. I am also a resident of Kalapana and I live near where you guys want to build the 5G tower. I feel like this is going to affect our environment, the wildlife in the area, the ecosystem, and also our residents in a really big way. So I'm just asking that you consider an alternative location where it's not in agricultural lands, because like the person before me just said, agricultural lands are used for growing crops, raising livestock, and also producing food for our family. So it's a really big concern of mine that something like a 5G tower would be literally right next door to that. As our kids grow up, I really don't want to be concerned about anything negative or how that's gonna affect our family. And also, I just wanted to say that I also do have cell phone signal. So as somebody who lives nearby, we are not concerned about having more signal. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next testifier, please.
Our last testifier is Pebbles Thurton. Please unmute yourself and turn on your video so that I can swear you in.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, the town you reside in, and you may begin. You will have 3 minutes and I'll let you know when 30 seconds remains.
Hi, my name is Pebbles Thornton. I reside in Old Kalapana Road. The two before me are actually my neighbors. They pretty much covered everything that I'm concerned about. I am trying to see if you guys can find a relocation for it. Yeah, I mean, they really covered everything I was gonna say. You know, I'm just worried about how it's gonna affect my family, and just our surroundings and everything around us. Sorry, yeah, they covered really everything.
Okay, thank you for your testimony.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, yeah, I'll let Ms. Martin, if you have any responses to any of the
Yeah.
testifiers.
Let's start with the first testifier, Mr. Wade. And he talked about,
Speak more into the mic, please. Thank you.
he talked about the visual impact. And so I wanted to kind of address that and talking about a bamboo fence. So the tower is only going to be visible, the top, maybe half of it. So a bamboo fence is just going to cover up the forest the beautiful forest. They talk about, view sheds not only being, not always just towards the ocean, but in all places. If we go by that standard, I mean, Hawaii's just beautiful. Everywhere you look, it's beautiful. We would never have cell coverage if that was the standard. It is a necessary thing. And I think we all would like to have cell phone coverage without having to look at a cell tower, but it's just, that's not the technology that we have right now. Oh, sorry. I talk with my hands, so I was just afraid I was gonna bang it. And then also, I'm very surprised with these people saying that they have coverage, because I have been there several times and I have Verizon coverage and I can't make a phone call there. I mean, I don't even have one bar. My phone says no service. So, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. And then they talked about cultural practices. Well, I talked to you about, the NEPA process, and they do go consult with cultural practitioners and state historic preservation. So that's already been vetted, and there's nothing going on there currently or in the past. And then we talk about ag land, and this is extensive ag land. This small footprint on a 32-acre parcel is not going to prevent agriculture from being there. You know, that it's just, it's less, I think it's 0.0006% of the land use for the, if the overall 32 acres. So I don't think that that's an issue. Is there anything that I haven't covered?
No, I think you've covered most of it. I guess I would have a couple of questions for the testifiers.
Okay.
One being, you said Starlink is available in that area. And I'm not trying to sound rude or anything.
Mhm.
How much does Starlink cost per month? Okay.
Mhm.
And then if I look at how much cellular plan through Verizon or AT&T, I would say my one currently costs about $60.
I pay 40.
Um,
I pay 40 for an unlimited data pack.
I'm just trying to
But yeah,
get a
right.
better understanding of what's available in the area. This is
In
what I'm
addition
trying to get.
that, we just got a notice from T-Mobile in my neighborhood in Kona. They were saying they've got a deal right now, $40 for broadband coverage. Will bring the routers into your home.
Okay.
So it's going to save
Okay.
money.
And also Starlink has a initial startup cost.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 400 something dollars, I think. So you gotta buy all the equipment.
Yeah. And then my other question would be, like earlier I asked if this tower was installed, those 3 other towers on wheels would go away, right? 2.
There's 2 down there.
Yeah. So
Yes, at least one.
the proximity of those towers to this proposed location is how far, you would say?
I think it's 3 miles, 4 miles, 3 miles. Yeah, about 3 miles.
Okay. And then the proximity of those testifiers on Zoom was about 400 to 600 feet away is what they said.
Well, 800 is what I heard, but
Yeah.
and then but the closest one was 450.
So I'm just trying to, in my mind, I'm just trying to see if one tower is installed, 2 other towers on wheels go away, what kind of coverage would the surrounding area get?
Well, that's why they provided the coverage map. So according to this, it's going to cover all the gaps along 130, and it's going to cover Seaview Estates. That was one of their primary objectives with this.
Okay. That one map that just has one tower and the
Yes.
scope, that would be the coverage.
Yes, the one that the 150-foot coverage. So you can see there's a huge difference between the existing coverage without the Kalapana site and the coverage that it will get with the Kalapana site. A huge difference.
And so if I'm looking at your page 19 and 20 of that report, which one of those are the 2 towers on wheels?
Okay, so it's on this most recent one that I gave you, and it's only 7 pages. And this is this one.
Yep.
And it's page. So you'll see page number 4 is without, page number 5 is with.
Right, but which one of those are the cells on tower, on wheels?
Oh, right. I don't think he took those out. He didn't take those out, but they are going away. That was the whole main thing. And one of the other reasons why is that they weren't able to get fiber optics. Fiber optics is really important for cell sites. So they weren't able to get fiber optics down there. So you can't stream as well.
Okay.
So the fiber optics gives you your broadband service and your to the cell site. So that's why they brought it up. It was too expensive. It was millions of dollars to bring it all the way down 130 to get down there. Besides the fact that it wasn't, it didn't cover
Okay,
everything. So
that's my questions for now. Any other commissioners? If there's no other questions, I can entertain a motion. But if you guys need a couple more minutes to look over.
I have a question.
So maybe,
Yeah, I'm
Vice
looking at
Chair.
the existing coverage with them, with or without the Kalapana site. Are those all cell towers? Those little, are those
when you see
existing?
that,
When you see
we
that
talked
symbol?
about the sectors.
Yeah,
So when you'll see three little sectors.
Yeah.
Those are cell towers.
okay, so I see a whole, okay, so there's a whole line of them
Yeah.
already up there. Okay, I see. Okay,
And another thing, the radio frequency mentioned to me about, we had a meeting with him yesterday. He couldn't come today, or it was Wednesday. He said the problem with bringing the tower down too is that there's so many very large trees around that area that it would, the signal would denigrate or bounce off of those. And so you wouldn't get the quality service that you're looking for.
Any other questions? I guess question for planning department and legal. I believe there was a state mandate or requirement that relates to cell towers. So if someone could please explain that for the commission.
I'll reference for the commission the confidential legal memo that was provided with sample motions, but also United States Code 47 USCA Section 332, subsection C, subsection 7, subsection B, subsection 4. Concerns regarding the the environmental effects of radio frequency emissions cannot be the basis for the denial of a telecommunications use permit and cannot be considered by this commission.
Thank you. In planning department, what is the time frame for this specific application for radio towers or cell towers?
The application based on 46-89 in the HRS has to be either approved with conditions, or denied within 60 days of the acceptance of the application.
Could I just clarify that if it is not approved, it is automatically granted
Correct.
without any conditions?
Maya, what is the time frame now? Thanks.
The decision needs to be made by November 8th. Or it's automatically approved on November 9th.
Okay. With that information provided to the commissioners, is there any motion for action or any further questions or comments you may have? And maybe I'll share something anecdotally. My parents' house is probably less than 400 feet away from a cell tower. I do not hear anything. I do not see anything. I do not have any impacts from that particular tower. My friend's house is directly next to it, less than 100 feet away. I can be in his patio talking story. We hear nothing. And that's the one by 76 gas station. Yeah. But just to share that. But is there a motion for action on this particular? Because if we do not act, it automatically gets approved. So if there's a motion, if you have any proposed conditions that you would like to place on any type of those type of actions.
I just want to say this. A
I'm
comment.
sorry, we have to have a motion before we
Oh.
have any discussion. Once we have a motion on the floor, we can have a robust discussion.
Yep, correct.
I move that the application for a use permit docket number PLUSC 2024-00028. 00028 be approved based on the planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Perrin. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been seconded by Vice Chair Daniele. Now, is there any discussion? And you can go ahead.
I just want to say this. I'm a mom. At one time, I had 10 under the age of 18, and when COVID hit, and all we had to teach our children was internet. Where I live, we were literally off of satellite, and it was $170 a month. And if we went over just as much as 1 gig, the charge was detrimental. And for my household, being that we have one income and all these children, that not only are we responsible to clothe, feed, educate, protect, everything above, when other opportunities for better connection rolled into our community, it helped bridge the gap tremendously. When they weren't able to go to school because they could only do it online, thank you. That's all I have to say. I understand there's things that are happening in this current world that we don't always agree with, but there is a possibility to make it for the better. This doesn't have to be ugly. This doesn't have to be negative. There is definitely a positive side to this with technology and the way that it's moving, the constant studies that are going on. Things will always be better as time goes along. So thank you for hearing me. Thank you for coming today. And thank you for allowing me to say this to you all. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
I
Chair.
think, just like the tower down in Ocean View, that was desperately needed. I mean, there was zero, I still have zero cell service at my house. And if I'm not connected to the Wi-Fi, if I'm out on my property, I'm dead, right? You have no service. So if anything happened, I have a couple elderly friends, and they thought it was great for them because, how something happened and they can't get in touch with anybody. They live alone by themselves. It could be a life or death situation. So, I think you have to look beyond your own personal, ideals, and you have to think about the betterment, of the community. And, I think part of that betterment is emergency, emergency services. So, regardless, I think that's a really important thing. especially in these very rural communities. I think that's very important. So that's kind of my thinking, that it's really a safety issue more than anything else. That we have quick communications to emergency services, because sometimes, yeah, you might get it, you might not. It's fleeting. You know, sometimes even at my house, I have a bar and then it goes away, maybe two, and then it goes away. So it's very inconsistent. So, I think that would be an overall benefit. So that's my take on it.
I would just say that I understand that visually, you don't want something like that in your backyard. I mean, I go to my parents' house every other week, and I do see the radio tower from their stairs. It's not nice, but I would encourage the applicant to work with the community to see what kind of protection for the visual view plane would be. Even if you can just get it just a little bit higher than half of the pole or something. Because I don't know the foliage in Kalapana that well. I haven't been there, since the eruption. But I suspect that the trees don't grow that high. So I respect that aspect, that it is a very tall pole. And it does,
There are 100-foot tower, there are 100-foot trees there though. In that area. So I will, and I would encourage any of the people that are testifying here today to contact me. Like I said, they have authorized me to, I can, buy them something. If I understand not wanting to look at it, but if you had just it placed closer to you, not closer to the tower, because it would have to be massive if you were going to try to cover it up on our property. But if you had it closer to you, just because of the I don't know what I'm saying, the aspect of it, if you had a smaller tree, you wouldn't see it from your home.
and I do,
As you're driving on that road there's trees there. You're not going to be see it that way either. So
I do also, think that having it look like a tree does matter. Because if I'm driving from my house down from Waikiuka, I can't tell that there's a tree next to the big county well or the water station. I cannot tell that that's a tree or a radio tower unless I actually looked. And there's numerous ones throughout town that look the same. So I just want to, encourage that as a consideration.
I disagree respectfully, because it's a smaller silhouette. And if you're looking further away, you're not going, especially if it's painted properly, it's going to blend in way better than a big blob of green tree thing. And those things after time, I don't know, they do not look so good after time. And, I wish that the infrastructure companies that own these towers would do a better job at maybe keeping them up. But, that's expensive too. And it's, it's just better just to do some, in my mind, a clean thing. And I just don't think for this application, I think it would not serve these people very well. You can actually hide it better if it's just a silhouette, a smaller silhouette.
Okay. And any other discussion?
I just have one.
We'll do Commissioner Baylock and then Vice Chair.
I just wanted to say I've appreciated everyone talking about the view plane and their concern for ag and the ecosystem. My family leases a property. My family leases a property that we have cattle and horses on, and there's a tower 750 feet away from a community that calls me all the time that anything gets out of our fence. And it hasn't affected our animals, it hasn't affected our ag or anything. And I don't think I can take a picture of my horse without the tower in the picture. But it blends really well. It's kind of that slate gray color, and I've had to learn how to live with it. I've had to allow access for them to do maintenance. That was like hard for me to swallow because I'm the leasee and it's in Palwilo. Palwilo? Yeah, it's like right above the highway where Earl's store used to be, kind of like in an area, but it wasn't easy for me to accept it, but I think that the use that comes out of it outweighs that, and I mean, I've had memorable experiences around it being there over the years, and I mean, I I don't view it as a hardship at this point. Yeah, it's not a tree pole. It's blue. It's like what they're proposing here.
Thank you. Vice Chair, you had a question?
Oh, yeah.
Comment?
Yeah, I was just curious on, you have 34 acres. Any plans to do anything else with that property?
They are talking about plans. I don't know, if they, we have talked about subdividing it. And, but we have to get past this hurdle before we figure out what else. But I do know that they are going to be cleaning up those, abandoned cars. It is going to be a better place because of them.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Sorry, public testimony time has ended. No, that is not part of the process.
Actually, the robust discussion is between the commissioners. There will be opportunities after this hearing for you to speak with planning department or individual commissioners should you choose to.
Okay, with that, any other discussion? If not, we're gonna call a roll call vote.
Motion is to approve as recommended by planning director. Commissioner Perrin,
Aye.
Commissioner Daniele,
Aye.
Commissioner Bielog,
Aye.
Chair Lynn.
Aye.
Motion passes. 4 ayes.
Thank you. You'll be notified in writing of our decision. Okay, we are running late, so commissioners, if you don't mind, we'll take a quick lunch break. If you can do 20 minutes, if that's possible, because we do have a fair amount of other items to go through. So we'll come back at 1:25. Thank you. Okay, we are gonna resume the Windward Planning Commission. It is now 1:28, and we are moving on to agenda item number 4, which is applicant County of Hawaii Department of Parks and Recreation, PL-SMA-2024-00064, application for a special management area use permit to develop a master plan for Papa'aloa Park to address the current and long-term needs of the community on 2 parcels totaling 11.794 acres within the special management area. The subject properties are located at 500 feet northwest of the intersection of Ode Mamalahoa Highway, Hikoa Camp Loop, and the Hawaii Belt Road on the Makai side of Ode Mamalahoa Highway, portion of Papa'aloa Homestead, North Hilo, Hawaii, TMK 3-5-003, parcels number 35 and 88. Presentation by staff, Alex Roy.
Okay. Just move this out the way. Okay, so this is for the County of Hawaii Department of Parks and Rec, Special Management Area Use Permit, SMA 2464. This covers 2 parcels, totaling about 11.79 acres. Here's the location of the existing park and where the proposed project is going to take place. You can see it's just on Makai of the Belt Road in Papa'aloa, kind of southeast of Lapohohoi. And then you can see the Lapohohoi Park is up there on the top left. The applicant is requesting approval for the Papa'aloa Park Master Plan and the Phase 1 development. So I wanted to be clear that this is for the SMA is for the Park Master Plan. The Phase 1 development is what they're ready to do now. And so we'll kind of go through a little bit of that, but I wanted to be clear that the SMA covers the master plan and essentially the entire project on 2 parcels. So as I said, the project spans 2 parcels, parcel 35 and parcel 88, covering a total of 11.79 acres. The initial phase focuses on parcel 88, the non-shoreline parcel, which includes the existing park facilities, such as the baseball field, the tennis courts, and then a community annex building. The proposed development, so what's actually going to occur right away is the new 7,000 square foot covered play court for indoor sports and community events. Expanding the park with future amenities will include a skate park, playground, picnic pavilions, and walking paths. Other features such as on-site and off-site infrastructure improvements and utility modifications such as water, sewer, power are also proposed to accommodate these new structures. So here's the county zoning map. I outlined the project area in the bold red, and then you can see where I split with the dashed red between the 2 parcels. So parcel 88 is kind of the focus of the Phase 1 development. But then you notice parcel 35, a little larger, and that's the coastal parcel for future development. It's split into agricultural and industrial with residential, and then this RD is double family residential across the street. State land use is primarily urban with ag across the highway. There is a bound of conservation district along the coast, but no work is proposed in the conservation district at this time. If any work is proposed in the conservation district, the parks will have to get a CDUP from DLNR in order to do that work. LUPEG shows, again, the coastal area, which is common as open zoning, and then you have important ag lands for primarily the rest of the slide, including the project area. Here's an aerial photograph kind of showing the area. We can see the existing park, pavilion, and such. So this is kind of an older photo, obviously. Then you see the dilapidated building here. I kind of outlined a little bit. It doesn't quite follow the outline of the parcels because it's a little wonky when you get close to the coast. But this is a pretty high cliff, which is typical for this area. We've seen this before. But this kind of gives you an idea of the park in proximity, to the neighborhoods here and then here. So very close. This is the existing site. So as it stands today, you go down, there's a large parking area, the baseball field, tennis courts, and then that pavilion area. So it's all very heavily used. I visited the site and observed a number of rooms in the pavilion area were being used for community activities. I think there was a painting class or something going on. And then I actually spoke to two mothers who were down there with their kids, and they were very excited about the potential for the expansion of the park and it's, kind of making it a little more useful for a variety of uses. So that was positive. This is kind of a site plan for that phase one development. It's a little busy, but you guys do have a copy. And you can take note of that pavilion here. It's right here in this center area. And so you can see how the parking lot will get reconfigured to accommodate that, that new pavilion. Here's the site plan of the play court, excuse me, is what they're calling it. So this is kind of the first floor. So you can see it's 80 by 160, lots of room, storage. There'll be some bathrooms. This is a nice 3D render of the play court. So this would be kind of looking Mackay. You can see the existing structure here, existing courts here, and this is kind of where the existing parking is. So this structure will kind of go onto that, go onto that parking area. And I'll show you that in the next slide. So this kind of gives you a view of the view plane from the road looking towards the ocean. Here's the site plan and kind of the initial master plan of the entire project area. So we have our play court, which is part of that phase one development expansion, and then skate park. And then here we have a community center, there'll be parking, and then additionally site A here, there'll be some pavilions parking and a skate park and other uses down there, which will be later phases. And the applicant and his agent can speak more to those later phases. Here's a site photo that I took, kind of approximating where that play court is going to be. So this is looking Malka towards those that development across the street. You can see the existing building here, and then the baseball field on your left. So this is approximately where that play court area is going to go. Here's kind of another view over by that existing building that was being used, kind of looking towards where the play court area is going to be, kind of Malka off. The ocean is to your left, of course, Malka is to your right. So that'll be right here in the middle, approximately that new play court area. This is just to kind of give you an idea. I think most everybody's been down there, but this is, we're going to have an entrance here, and then an entrance here for those phases. If anyone's been down there, let me skip back just a little bit. This building here is very dilapidated. There are a number of structures that have failed and need to be removed. You know, they become unsafe. It's all overgrown. So they'll be utilizing that area that had been previously developed in the past. So I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that. So based on the application and the final environmental assessment, the director's recommendation for PL SMA 2024 000064 is the approval with the stated conditions. And I can take questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
I have a question.
Commissioner Perrin.
Hello, is there a plan for maintaining this? Whether if it's daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever, just to maintain it longevity wise and for future generations to come and enjoy?
There was nothing, I mean, the parks has its own maintenance. And as you can see, they've done a very good job of keeping up with that, the current park. Sorry, let me show you that. It's one of the better maintained parks, but hopefully the parks can speak a little bit more about their maintenance schedules. And how they're going to maintain. And I guess you're concerned probably about because of what happened with the previous buildings being unmaintained.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'll have them address that
Thank you.
for sure.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If not, if I could ask for Parks and Rec to come up. If I could swear you both in, please. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter? Now before the Windward Planning Commission.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Please speak directly into microphone, state your name, the town you reside in, and who you represent.
My name is Greg Nakai with PBR Hawaii Planning Consultant. For the applicant, I reside on Oahu.
And my name is James Komatha. I'm the park planner for Parks and Recreation, representing the applicant.
Go ahead. If you have anything else to add to the presentation by staff.
Yeah, so the Popolo Park Master Plan, represents fairly exhaustive collaboration process between the county and the community and the park stakeholders that have been involved since the date that the decision was made to remove the prior existing plantation era gym. We believe it represents the desires of the community. We did receive a lot of positive input at the end of the collaborative process. As represented by Auntie Lucille and Lisa and Heather that testified earlier, we feel that the community as a whole is in support of us pursuing this project. The SMA and the environmental assessment process that we're going through, are foundations for us to be able to provide expanded recreational resources, facilities, activities, programs for the community. So we ask for your support on this.
Thank you. Maybe to Commissioner Perrin's question. I know that COVID played a part in, the condition of the previous gym. As what is the maintenance plan going forward? I know this is a steel for structure, so there's less risk of termites, but
Yeah, less risk of termites, but different risks, right? We have, corrosion here in a coastal environment. Those are the kinds of things that we're looking at with some of our other facilities, similar facilities that have been built in Pahoa and in Paneava, Waimea. We don't have a specific maintenance plan prepared for this site. We do have, the whole complement of park caretakers. We have a painting crew. We have welders, mechanics, carpenters, plumbers, electricians. And we have a maintenance work order process that we are in the process of improving. But yeah, at this point, we don't have a specific maintenance plan for this site, but we are very well aware of, what it takes to maintain a building and not wanting to repeat, what, unfortunately happened here. But yeah, the gym that came down was results of, decades worth of deferred maintenance, as we call it. So it wasn't a finite thing that happened as far as maintenance goes.
thank you. Any other questions? If not, I do want, Vice Chair.
This is more of an inquiry or curiosity of mine. So on the signs of your parks, you either have one little spear, two spears, or the three spears. What does that mean?
Yeah, I've been with parks for 21 plus years and no one's been able to answer that question for me either. So as you notice, the new signs we're putting up have no spears on them. So
I've been wondering that for a very long time.
it's one of the first questions I asked when I started and no one could answer that. So sorry.
Oh, thank you for breaking the monotony here. Okay. Okay, if there's no other questions from the commissioners, I do want to check if there's any other further testimony, either on Zoom or in the room. So can I check on Zoom? Is there anybody on Zoom?
Chair Lynn, we have no Zoom testifiers for this agenda item.
Okay, thank you. And nobody in the room here?
Oh,
Okay. I guess just one question from me is, as we look forward, are there plans for other gyms across the island to be in the similar type of rehabilitation or tear down and rebuild? one of the ones that is in my mind is like Andrew's Gym. Right, just smack dab in the central Hilo.
Yeah, we have no plans to tear down Andrew's gym currently. No, there's nothing planned. None of our gyms right now are in the planning stages for replacement. We are working on a project at a future park in Kona to put up a cover play court building at a larger scale than this. But no.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so without any other comments, then I ask for a motion for action.
Okay, I move that the application for special management area SMA, docket number PL-SMA-2464 be approved based on the planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
Okay, it's been moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Chair Daniele. It's been seconded by Commissioner Perrin. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Seeing no other discussion, then we'll ask for a roll call vote. Very comprehensive. Thank you very much.
So this is to approve, as recommended by the planning director, PL SMA 2024-000064. Vice Chair Daniele,
Aye.
Commissioner Perrin,
Aye.
Commissioner Baylog,
Aye.
and Chair Lynn.
Aye.
Motion carries with 4 votes.
Thank you very much. You'll be notified in writing. And I do want to ask that we not get 961 pages to look at next time.
I think that the FEA was pretty exhaustive.
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 5. Due to a conflict of interest, so applicant is Kristen Frost Albert, but is on behalf of the Food Basket of Hawaii Island. I'm on the board of the Food Basket, so I cannot make any decisions on the application. So at this time, I will be recusing myself from item number 5, and then Vice Chair Daniele will assume the chair. Yeah, but we don't have quorums, but if there's any testimony, we can take that. So is there any testimony?
Chair, we have no in-person testimony.
Okay, then moot. Any Zoom?
We have no Zoom testifiers for this agenda
Okay.
item.
Okay, then moving on. Agenda item number 6. Applicant is Nimmer Tamimi, PL-REZ-2024-00067. Application for a change of zone from a single-family residential 10,000 square feet RS10 zoning district to an industrial commercial mixed 20,000 square feet district MCX 20 for 22,900 square feet of land. The subject property is located at 781 Laukapu Street at the northeast corner of its intersection with East Lanikala Street, Waiakea House Lots, First Series, South Hilo, Hawaii, TMK 32-2-036, parcel number 65. Okay, presentation by Christian. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon to you and members of the Windward Planning Commission. As the chair stated, this is a change of zone application. The subject property here indicated by the red star is situated in the South Hilo district of Hawaii Island, specifically in the Waiakea House Lots area. The applicant is requesting a change of zone from a single-family residential 10,000 square feet zoning district to an industrial commercial mixed-use 20,000 square foot zoning district for 22,900 square feet of land. The applicant, who owns an engineering consulting firm on the adjacent property to the east, proposes to expand their office space by converting an existing 2,716 square foot dwelling on the subject property into an office building to house up to 10 employees, half of which will be relocated from the existing business next door. The applicant will secure a change of use building permit from the Department of Public Works to comply with requirements for a change in occupancy from residential to commercial, and final plan approval from the Planning Department to comply with on-site parking and landscaping requirements. The applicant plans to immediately apply for a change of use building permit as soon as the change of zone is approved. This process will determine what improvements to the building or property may be necessary to meet the requirements of the proposed new building occupancy, which will in turn determine the additional cost and time frame necessary to complete the conversion of the structure from a dwelling to an office building. Here's the county zoning map. The subject property, again, here outlined in red at the corner of La Capu and East Lanikaula Street, is currently zoned single-family residential, 10,000 square feet, as indicated by the yellow color. As you can see, other zoning in the area is similarly mixed-use commercial and industrial and limited industrial zoning, as well as some neighborhood commercial zoning to the right of the slide. The state land use boundary map here designates the subject property and surrounding area as urban. And the general plan land use pattern allocation guide map designates the subject property and much of the area to the south as industrial, as indicated by the gray color, and pardon me, this should be indicated as a medium density urban to the north of the subject parcel. The industrial LUPAC designation would support the proposed MCX zoning. Here's the applicant's submitted site plan. Again, for reference, we've got Laukapu Street running to the left of the slide and East Lanikaula Street on the bottom of the slide. This shows the subject parcel as well as an existing dwelling and garage structure. The applicant is proposing, at least initially, to take access off of Laukapu Street, but in the future may have a second access off of East Lanikaula. There's a condition of approval in the recommendation that would limit that to a right in, right out on the East Lanikaula Street access, should that be developed in the future. Here are some aerial photos. On the upper left is showing the subject property outlined in red and the surrounding community. Again, to the north, you've got a mixture of residential uses, whereas kind of along the same line and to the south, you're seeing more kind of mixed-use commercial and light industrial uses. Again, this is the existing engineering partners office building here to the right. And that property was rezoned, I believe in 2014 to MCX. Here's some site photos. View of the property on the upper left here from Laukapu Street shows the existing dwelling and carport structure, the existing driveway. On the bottom right is a view of the property from the intersection of Laukapu and East Lanikaula, showing the property head on. Here are some views of the roadway access. Along upper left is a view of East Lanikaula Street facing east. You can see the subject property here in the upper left. To the right is a view of East Lanikaula Street facing west with the subject property on the right. I want to point out here just the existence of road widening and concrete curb gutter sidewalk that was installed as a condition of the change of zone ordinance that allowed for the engineering partners office, and it'll be similar. The conditions of approval will require similar road widening and curb gutter sidewalk to connect along the front, both East Lanikaula and Laukapu Street frontages. On the bottom left, view of Laukapu Street facing south with the subject property on the left, and again a view of the subject view of Laukapu Street facing north with the subject property on the right. Planning director has submitted a favorable recommendation be forwarded to the county council with stated conditions of approval. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, Christian. Commissioners, any questions? Okay, if not, I'll ask the applicant to come up. Just quickly swear you in. If you could press the green button on there. Yeah. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I do.
Please speak directly into the mic. State your name, town you reside in, and who you represent.
Nimar Tamimi. I reside in Hilo and I'm representing the owner of the property.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to tell us about the project?
No, but I'm open to any questions that you guys might have.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah.
Vice Chair.
Are you planning on raising that building and
No,
rebuilding?
the immediate plans are not. We're looking at just getting a change of use from residential to commercial.
And then
in
just
same
use the
square footage.
existing building
Yes,
as
sir.
is?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, if not, I just have concerns, like, not regarding your property or anything, but the requirement of curb gutter sidewalks on these type of properties. I mean, kind of seems excessive. That's just my thought. I mean, you're just changing the use to allow somebody, to have the office space, but you got to add in curb gutter sidewalk.
Do you really need to address that? Okay.
Yeah, if you could.
Sure,
Or
sure.
unless,
Yeah.
we can have building division or
The
whatever.
reason that that's added in here is when we do a change of zone, it's for any possible use that's permitted in that zoning district. So in the future, should that property be sold or redeveloped for something else, some higher kind of higher density commercial use, then that would be necessary. That condition is consistent with other rezones along that stretch of East Lani Kaula. And so it's kind of consistent with the comments we received from Department of Public Works for that type of zoning. The other thing I would say is normally we would require those improvements to be done prior to certificate of occupancy. In this case, the director has decided to allow for a 5-year time frame in order to amortize the costs of those improvements over a longer period of time. So that's listed there in the condition of approval for curb gutter sidewalk.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. I just wanted to check, Nimmer, if you have any objections to the background and recommendation reports, and have you received them?
I did receive them and I have no objections to
Okay.
them.
Okay, thank you. In my mind, I just feel like if a change of zone, if the usage would be, this is office space. If it was made into a more industrial type of use, then I would say like the curb gutter sidewalk is required. But in this type of use, I mean, everybody else on the street doesn't have curb gutter sidewalk. How come they got to put in?
So actually, the adjacent property, the one that the current office has that curb gutter sidewalk.
Right.
And if you look across the street to the south, there is curb gutter sidewalk along those limited industrial and other MCX zoned areas. Also down, we just did the Monono corners. So similar condition was added on there. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
We have had this discussion from other applicants in the past saying,
Yeah.
hey, can we trigger this on the construction of a more intensive use or what have
Right,
you?
right.
Our stance has always been to kind of put that standard condition in, again, with the idea that that's what's appropriate for the MCX zoning in urban helo. Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunate, but I understand. Okay, any motion for action? If there's no other questions for the applicant. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Is there any public testimony on this? Kind of skipped ahead. Is there any public testimony?
There's no in-person testimony, Chair.
Anybody on Zoom?
We have no Zoom testifiers.
Okay, thank you. Now I'll take a motion for action. Thank you.
Okay, I move that a favorable recommendation be forwarded to the county council on the application of change of zone docket number PL-REZ 2024-67 based on the planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Chair Daniele. It's been seconded by Commissioner Perrin. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing no discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Vice Chair Daniele,
Aye.
Commissioner Perrin,
Aye.
Commissioner Belog,
Aye.
and Chair Lynn.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Motion carries with 4 aye votes.
Thank you very much. You'll be notified in writing of our decision. Thank you. Okay, moving on. We are now on agenda item number 7, which is Initiator Planning Director, PL-PDI-2024-000009, The planning director has initiated an ordinance to amend chapter 25 zoning, article 5 of the Hawaii County Code 1983, 2016 edition as amended, relating to hospitals, sanitariums, old age, convalescent, nursing, and rest homes. The purpose of this ordinance is to promote the establishment and the development of hospitals within the industrial commercial mixed zoning district to improve access to healthcare services while ensuring compatibility with industrial and commercial land uses. We'll do a staff presentation by Tracy.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Windward Planning Commission. Before you today, we have the Planning Director initiated bill relating to hospitals, which is proposing to amend Chapter 25 of the Zoning Code, Article 5. So the purpose of this bill is to promote the establishment and the development of hospitals, sanitariums, old age, convalescent, nursing, and rest homes within the industrial commercial mixed zoning districts, also known as MCX. And this is to improve access to healthcare services while ensuring compatibility with the industrial and commercial land uses that we have on the island. So on your screen, you have the exact proposed amendment, which shows the amendment showing hospitals, sanitariums, old age, convalescent, nursing, and rest homes to be added within the following uses of the permitted uses within the MCX district, which would be a specific amendment to Chapter 25, Article 5, Section 25.5.132 relating to the permitted uses within that district. So the planning director is proposing to permit the hospitals within the MCX district specifically for the following reasons. The first is the alignment with the public health and safety goals. The county's general plan emphasizes the importance of providing accessible healthcare facilities to all residents, which is critical given the county's geographically dispersed population. By allowing hospitals in mixed commercial industrial areas, this will support the improved access to urgent and specialized care for the island. Number two, consistency with the intent of the MCX district. The MCX zoning district is designed to foster a mixture of commercial, office, and light industrial uses, which also creates that multifunctional area in between industrial and commercial. So this, and also in addition, MCX also currently allows medical clinics as a permitted use. So this would allow hospitals as well as a permitted use. The third reason, it would be meeting the needs of a growing population. Our existing hospital infrastructure is strained, as we can see throughout the state and the nation. We can see that healthcare services are greatly needed. So this would also address the growing demand by expanding the locations where healthcare facilities can be established. And number four, it would be an economic and employment benefits. You know, this amendment could foster economic growth and the diversification of the areas designated as MCX, particularly in communities with limited employment opportunities. So with that, the planning director is recommending that you forward a favorable recommendation to the Hawaii County Council with this proposed amendment.
Thank you, Tracy. Commissioners, any questions? I think it's a pretty straightforward request. Makes sense.
If I just may, we do have representatives from a healthcare facility that are here. I don't know if they would like to provide testimony on this, but they have been in support of this amendment.
Okay. Well, I mean, if there's no other questions, you can definitely take any testimony. No, we didn't. Yeah.
Chair, we have no one in person signed up to testify.
Okay. You guys don't want to testify? Writing comment? Okay. Anybody on Zoom?
Chair Lynn, we have one Zoom testifier signed up.
Okay, go ahead.
Whitney Lim, if you can turn on your camera and unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Dr. Whitney Lim from Queens. Actually, I'm here to answer questions if there are any. If there aren't any questions, I will stay silent.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I don't have any questions. It's a pretty straightforward request, and it makes sense to have more access to medical facilities in, you know, more of the urban areas of our cities. So
I had a question. Could you define sanitarium? Like, are you talking like mental institutions?
I'm assuming that is the case for behavioral health care. And that is not something that I will say at the moment we're considering. We do have inpatient behavioral care here in Honolulu.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know of any sanitariums out here.
Yeah.
And Maui had one,
Yeah.
but I don't know of any out here. I just thought it was curious, that's all.
So doctor, this would encourage more of like clinics, urgent cares, those kind of things?
Yes, I think it covers urgent ambulatory as well as hospital care. So inpatient care, and really it's about keeping care local, keeping care on the Big Island as much as possible.
Thank you. All right. If there's no other questions, then we will take a motion for action.
I move that a favorable recommendation be forwarded to the county council on the application to amend chapter 25, article 5 of the Hawaii County Code 1983, 2016 edition as amended, docket number PL-PDI-2024-9, based on the planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Perrin for a favorable recommendation. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Vice Chair Daniele. Any discussion? I just want to applaud those who worked on this because it's a very much needed issue here in East Hawaii and on West Hawaii. So I hope the Leeward Commission also views it in the same way. Okay, no discussion, then roll call vote.
Thank you, Chair. So the motion is to forward a favorable recommendation to the County Council. Commissioner Perrin,
Aye.
Vice Chair Daniele,
Aye.
Commissioner Baylog,
Aye.
Commissioner Deleuze is excused and absent, and Chair Lynn.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are at our last agenda item here. Initiators County Council PL-CCI-2024-000009. Bill 194, an ordinance amending Chapter 25 zoning, Article 1, 2, 4, 5, and 7 of the Hawaii County Code, 1983, 2016 edition as amended, relating to telecommunication antennas and towers. The purpose of this amendment is to implement the uniform and comprehensive regulatory framework for the development, siting, installation, and maintenance of telecommunication antennas and telecommunication towers. All right, staff presentation by Tracy. Thank you.
Thank you again, Chair and members of the Windward Planning Commission. So before you today, we have the County Council initiated Bill 134, which is relating to the telecommunication antennas and towers. 194, I apologize. My apologies. I will fix this slide. So the purpose of this bill, of Bill 194, is it introduces standards and application requirements that prioritize the careful design, siting, and maintenance of telecommunication infrastructure to minimize the visual and operational impacts, enhance safety, and ensure adherence to federal and local regulations. Included in the proposed amendments are, first, that it amends the definition of telecommunication antennas and creates a new definition for telecommunication towers. It creates additional plan approval application requirements for telecommunication antennas and towers. Additionally, it creates additional standards for telecommunication antennas and towers, including increased setbacks and an order of priority for siting of antennas and towers. And it removes the requirement to secure a use permit prior to establishing a telecommunication antenna and tower, and it adds telecommunication antennas and towers as a permitted use by right in the RS, RD, RM, RCX, RA, FA, A, IA, and O zoning districts. With this change, the telecommunication towers and antennas will be a permitted use in all zoning districts. So on the next slide, these are some of the planning department concerns. The following points regarding Bill 194 are particularly significant and warrant careful consideration. The first is excessive requirements. The second is enforcement and jurisdiction issues. The third is the use of private consultation. And lastly is a prioritization for siting of towers. So first we'll go into the proposed section 25.274.1. The proposed change includes a plot plan showing the location of the proposed antenna or tower and all buildings and uses within 300 feet thereof. The planning director currently has some concerns, and that includes that Bill 194's requirement to provide a site plan displaying all buildings and uses within 300 feet of the subject parcel is excessive. A detailed rationale for including all nearby buildings and their current uses has not been provided. Therefore, the planning director does not support this requirement. The next proposed section, we believe exceeds the zoning authority. That is proposed section 25.274.5. And that is that the proposed change removes the requirement for a statement from the Federal Communications Commission that the application complies with the regulations of the commission, or a statement that no such compliance is necessary, and in place it replaces it with a report prepared by a person who is licensed in the state of Hawaii as a professional engineer, electrical engineer, certifying that the proposed use complies with all applicable standards and regulations, including those related to radio frequency emissions of the Federal Communications Commission and the state of Hawaii. So the planning director has about 3 concerns in regards to this. The first is that the FCC already regulates the RF emissions, and having an additional report is redundant. The second is that this places responsibility on the planners who would review this plan approval application, who lack technical expertise to review these technical engineering reports. And the last is that this could conflict with federal laws, as local governments cannot impose stricter RF standards than the FCC. So the following sections also exceed our zoning authority. Proposed section 25.274.6, that really should be governed by the county building code. Section 25.274.7 should be governed by the county fire code. Proposed section 25.274.8 should be governed by the State Department of Health regulations. Proposed section 25.274.12 should be governed by the county flood code. Proposed section 25.274.13, it addresses maintenance requirements that would not fall under the scope of the zoning code. And proposed section 25.4.12I 3 and 4. This pertains to more operational and engineering standards that are typically governed by building codes or electrical regulations and not zoning codes. The following proposed section of Bill 194 requests the use of private consultants, and that is proposed section 25.4.12F. And this is stating that the director may engage a private consultant to inspect and determine whether the proposed use violates any applicable standard of the Federal Communications Commission, provided that the time during which the private consultant is so engaged shall not count towards the time limit set forth in subsection E. So the planning director's concerns include that engaging private consultants may significantly raise costs for the county, creating unnecessary financial burdens. There's no clear distinction who would be paying for these private consultations. Second is that the current wording suggests that the consultant's determination occurs after plan approval, at which point the next step is already for a telecommunication tower to secure a building permit and start the construction of the tower. A third would be, it would be more logical to hire a consultant before final plan approval rather than afterwards. And the last would be relying on private consultants could introduce delays in the approval process, leading to the lengthy and unpredictable timelines for applicants that may not occur within that 60-day HRS 46-89 approval timeframe that we're restricted by right now. The fourth point that we wanted to bring up is the following proposed section of Bill 194, which requires tower siting prioritization. The proposed change includes that telecommunication antennas and towers shall be sited in accordance with the following order of priority. The first is on building sites with existing telecommunication antennas or towers. The second on industrial zone lands. The third on all other lands exclusive of industrial zone lands and residential zone lands. And the fourth is residential zone lands. So some of the concerns we still have, or the planning director still has, is that it's unclear how staff should prioritize applications across these zoning districts. This lacks guidance on whether applicants must analyze unviable lower priority sites first. It's also uncertain if staff must deny applications for underserved areas without proper zoning or suggest alternative sites. This could also delay permitting, which could exceed, again, that HRS 46-89 timeframe that we have. And enforcement of this section still remains undefined. So the review of Bill 194. The first is the concerns with the proposed requirements. Extensive plan approval requirements exceed some of the land use and zoning expertise that we currently have within the planning department. Imposing these requirements could create an excessive regulatory burden, hindering the telecommunication infrastructure deployment. It lacks flexibility. The bill's design requirements, the siting prioritization do not allow for the flexibility needed to serve areas with the highest demand. This inflexibility may lead to impractical outcomes due to the county's diverse topography and development patterns, and the potential conflicts with state law. This could cause any unnecessary delays in regards to HRS 46-89. I know it was brought up when the planning director brought forth his planning director initiated bill. So these next slides are just going to be a comparison between the planning department's bill as well as Bill 194. So the first and foremost is both bills require the removal of telecommunication towers to come before you guys and get a use permit requirement. Some of the testimony that came in, it leads you to believe that this bill and they're different, but first and foremost, both of them are removing the use permit requirement. Bill 194 does go further and requires a plot plan that shows all buildings and uses within the 300 feet. The planning director initiated bill does require still a plot plan with the building site of the proposed antenna or tower. Bill 194 for section 25274, as stated earlier, does require a statement by a licensed professional engineer, whereas the planning director initiated bill did not change from what is currently required in our code, which is just that a statement from the Federal Communications Commission that the application complies with the regulations of the commission, or a statement that no such compliance is necessary. So the next part in Bill 194, this is discussing co-location. So in Bill 194, section 25412A, Bill 194 is proposing to add on that a telecommunication antenna or tower, including any co-location of any new antenna upon an existing tower, shall be permitted in any zoning district, provided that director has issued plan approval for such use. The planning director's initiated bill, as you can see to the right of your screen, discusses that, as well as goes into detail about the substantial change, which is important because those are regulated by the FCC that we have to keep in mind. So when you look at Bill 194, any new addition would require new plan approval, whereas the planning director's bill is very specific that a new plan approval would be required if there's substantial change as determined and defined by the FCC would be required. In addition, section 2527410 of Bill 194 also has a co-location documentation requirement. So going back into some similarities, Bill 194 setback, as well as the planning director's initiated setbacks, they include 120% of the tower height from the property line for both bills. Bill 194 is requesting that there be 1,000-foot setback from any property line of any hospital, school, or residential district, whereas the planning director's bill is requesting 1,200 feet from any nearby from residences and schools. In addition, the planning director did go further to allow for telecommunication towers located within the following zoning districts to the right of your screen to be exempt from setback requirements. And both bills do have some sort of decommissioning / abandonment plan being proposed. So on your screen, you have key contrasts of the proposed bill versus the planning department initiated bill. So these are the key contrasts. These are only Bill 194s. We went through them and we found various requirements that we wanted to point out that this bill is requiring. And we put it on the screen. So there's elevation drawings, electrical drawings, fire safety requirements, statement from the State Department of Health, statement on possible interference with county radio system, an analysis of soil conditions and flood hazards, a maintenance plan, a copy of required licenses, a declaration that the tower will be up and running within 2 years, a requirement for light fixtures, a private consultant requirement, a radio frequency exposure level requirement, a prioritization level, some design requirements, underground requirements, restriction of outdoor facilities, as well as public liability insurance requirements. Whereas the planning director's bill really focuses on the aesthetics and the visual impacts, which is what we believe our zoning code we can within the authority of our zoning code. So based on that, the planning director recommends that the planning commission sends an unfavorable recommendation of Bill 194 to the county council as it's currently written.
Thank you, Tracy. Any questions for Tracy or planning department? Okay, if not, is there anybody here that'd like to testify on this agenda item?
Chair, we have one in-person testifier.
Okay.
Kailey Kini. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Can you please come up? Thank you. Kailey, please raise your right hand and let me swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth now before the Windward Planning Commission?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You'll be limited to 3 minutes. I'll let you know when you have 30 seconds
No
remaining.
problem.
Please let us know what town you reside in.
What town? Hilo. Okay, aloha, my name is Kaili Kini, and I've come and testified numerous times, and I look forward to the opportunity just to educate the people that are commissioners. I feel it's very important because as I sit through and listen to what you have to say, I understand and realize that there are a lot of information that we don't know, that you don't know, I don't know. So I have to research. So anyway, July 2020, Hawaii County Council, they passed the resolution 67820. So congratulations. And that was to cease the build out of 5G wireless infrastructures until such technologies are proven safe to humans and to our environment. That is so important. Is it safe to humans? Is it safe for our children? Is it safe for our seniors? Is it safe? That is a question all of us should entertain, should research, and to know it's our health. I'm a grandmother. I have 3 children. I'm a great grandmother. Sometimes I wish I wasn't. And I think it's because as you get older, I love my children. I love my grandchildren. I love children, period. They are the reasons why I come here. Okay, it's not because of me. I'm 76 years old. I'm going to cycle out of this world. I'm looking at you younger people. I care about you. Make no mistake. Okay, so thousands of scientists and thousands of studies have proven that this technology, the EMFs, the 2G, 3G, 4G, it's not safe, but yet it's okay. But the 5G, it's a weapon. The military uses it. And if you don't know that, please go and check. Okay, it's very dangerous. It causes a whole slew of diseases, illnesses, injuries, brain cancers proven, diabetes, dementia, anything neurological. many, 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 so many, I don't even want to name them. I have them all down here. Nosebleeds, fatigue, itchy systemic rashes, muscle spasms, tender, and it's tender and irregular heartbeats, but tender thyroids and tender livers. What does that mean? Okay, so I am hoping that our government will protect its
You have
citizens.
30 seconds remaining.
And thank you. And by protecting us, please do the research and find out the answers as to how safe 5G will be for us. It is a weapon. And yes, communications is important, but we didn't die when we didn't have it. Okay? The landlines are just as good. Write letters. But the caution here is that it causes illnesses and deaths, a lot of injuries. Please, please go and check it. If you are going to be commissioners, be that responsible commissioners and get the information that I have. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anybody, is there anybody else on Zoom?
Chair Lynn, we have Councilmember Evans, who is the initiator of Bill 194, available on Zoom. We also have 3 public testifiers on Zoom.
Okay, actually, let me ask Councilmember Evans to make any remarks, and then we'll continue with the Zoom testifiers.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. All right. Aloha, and thank you. Thank you to all the commissioners today. It's always a long day, and we're the last. First of all, I'm really hoping that you will forward this with a favorable recommendation. I've heard, I definitely am hearing what the planning director is saying and some of his comments. I do think that the language could be a little bit clearer. It could be cleaned up. I think at the council level, we would work on that. But I wanted to just give you 2 things. One is I did start writing this about a year ago. I finished writing it in December and sent it to Corporation Counsel, who called me in January and asked me to hold off from forwarding it because the planning director needed to write a change in code to come in compliance with the Hawaii Revised Statute, Chapter 4689, and that maybe together we could put something forth together at the same time. Clearly, the planning director has just, when I talked to Jeff Darrow about it, he said that, what I had done was, definitely above and beyond what their intent was, and that was to come into compliance. And so it is what it is today. It ended up being two separate bills. The thing about my bill is I wasn't even thinking about compliance with 4689. I had worked with several different people across my district. We looked at cities on the mainland and counties to see what they had done. And I spoke to people in Washington, D.C., at the FAA, the FCC. I spoke to people at the PUC, the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, DLNR. I tried to make sure that whatever I did was not going above and beyond what we could with our authority at the local level. I believe really confidently that I have not been excessive and gone beyond what we can do at the local level. The other thing I just wanted to point out is when we look at our zoning code, because it does follow, this particular legislation is about change to our zoning code. If I look at when people come in and say they want to change a zone, we put conditions on them like all development, any stormwater runoff will be taken care of on site. All development will comply with flood control, sediment control, comply with Department of Health, and water pollution control. You have to do sewage disposal. We tell people that if you're going to do this, we have these expectations. I believe my bill is about what those expectations from us to the people who are putting up these and towers, what those expectations are. And today, when the Renegade Towers people, they proposed to you that they had an electrical engineer look at the RF radio frequency emissions, and they did their studies, and they feel that they're in compliance with the federal FCC. I mean, I think it's important, at least it is to me and all the people I worked with, that we actually really understand what radio frequencies that they are planning on having on that tower. And if they co-locate, that's the other thing that's real interesting to me personally. When you co-locate, it's more than just the one radio frequency. What you do is you keep adding. So if you can do 4 co-locations on a tower, there's 4 different radio frequencies being emitted by 4 different equipment. And so what is the total radio frequency coming off of the tower? I think that's really critical. I think it's good to know, and I don't think we're violating anything by asking them to tell us what they're doing. And, you know, the final thing is, you know, it's important to me that with the fires, especially in my district, because I represent South Kohala, where we've had some amazing wildfire, especially in the last year, that we do address that we want them to work with making sure we have safety guidelines. Like I said, I think the language isn't perfect by any means. I think the lobbyists for the Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, they wrote letters on this. I think some of the letters that were written were really spot on about, we'd really like to work with the stakeholders and, you know, really talk about the language versus the ones that keep claiming I'm violating. I would love to have that conversation with them because I ran this. Like I said, I called Washington, D.C. I personally talked to the people in the FCC compliance division and asked them if I went too far, and they said no. Again, I can look at other cities. We can show you other cities. We can show you regulations done by other cities and show you that we haven't gone too far. I'm just asking for a favorable recommendation because it does address what I believe are concerns and transparency, which I think the public really wants transparency. And we'll get in the nitty-gritty details about fixing and changing language, but I think the intent is really, really good. And again, I ask for your favorable recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Evans. I do want to ask that Corporation Counsel provide a document that was provided to us during the Renegade Towers agenda item, and it's regarding the FCC and the regulations on that side. So you can, Susanna.
Good afternoon. This was provided earlier, but I'll restate. The Windward Planning Commission is required to comply with federal law. And I provided for this planning commission 47 USC section 332, subsection C, subsection 7, subsection B, subsection 4. Concerns regarding the environmental effects of radio frequency emissions cannot be the basis for denial of a telecommunications use permit, cannot be considered. So I would just share that also with Councilmember Evans.
May I answer or have a comment?
We'll have it forwarded to you, Councilmember Evans, but sure, if you have any.
Okay, thank you. I think yeah, absolutely, without a doubt, that's correct. And getting information and having that in a report is not denying. That is not denying approval, in my opinion. And also, when I worked with Jean Campbell on my bill, Jean had mentioned she didn't have time to read all the FCC regulations. And I said, that's okay, I understand that, but we're going to go. And I did. I went to DC and talked to people in the department, talked to them about my language, showed them and said, what do you think about this? They didn't believe I had been excessive. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. At this time, is there any questions for either Councilmember Evans or staff on this agenda item? Oh, sorry. That's right. We have 2 more Zoom testifiers. Yes. I apologize. If I take the 2 Zoom testifiers, please.
Sorry, we actually have 3 Zoom testifiers. The first testifier is Julian Boatard, to be followed by April Lee. Julian, if you can please unmute yourself and turn on your video so I can swear you in.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
Yeah, I swear to tell the truth.
Please state your name, the town you reside in, and you may begin. You will have 3 minutes and I'll let you know when 30 seconds remains.
My name is Julian Buetard and I live in Yelm in Washington State. So I would like to start this testimony with addressing the elephant in the room, which is the fact that the FCC use outdated standards. And I would like to talk also about my background first. I am an IT project manager. I have an engineer degree, master's degree, so I know really well science, which offers me to be grounded in those discussions. So going back to the FCC and the outdated standards, they use standards that have been set up in 1996, which is almost 30 years from now. And at that time, they only considered the short-term effect of radiations. They didn't consider the impact on children or pregnant women. They considered the impact on, at that time, it was an American Marine. So the skull of a Marine is way different than the skull of a child or even women. So the FCC has not established safe levels for wireless radiation exposure for children, pregnant women, despite the fact that they may be more vulnerable to these effects. The agency's guidelines provide no protection for these populations. There's been a failure to review recent science. A federal court ruling in 2021, EHT against FCC mandated the FCC to review recent scientific evidence and updated standards to protect children, animals, and the environment. However, the agency has ignored this ruling and continues to use outdated standards. So the court found that that the FCC did not examine the evidence of cancer among the population, and despite this ruling, the FCC didn't pursue and decide to revise its standards. So I'd like to support this bill because regulating cell towers and antenna is absolutely necessary. We need to do,
You have 30
more
seconds left.
in that regard. Thank you. And it's necessary to protect the people from uncontrolled development. Dozens of jurisdictions across the country have adopted laws protecting people and the environment from the electro pollution caused by wireless radiation. So I think we need to do more in terms of regulations, and that's why I support this the Bill 194. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next testifier, please.
April Lee, please unmute yourself and turn on your video so that I can swear you in.
Trying to find my video. Okay. Thank you very much. I also.
Oh, sorry, I need to swear you in.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
Yes. I do.
Please state your name, the town you reside in, and you may begin. You will have 3 minutes and I'll let you know when 30 seconds remain.
April Lee, Hawaii, Big Island of Hawaii. And I do absolutely support Bill 194 as presented by Councilmember Evans. And I think that she is responding to a needs of our community that we have expressed to her several times. And I'm very happy in that she has done such a great job in doing the research. I also have been educated. I have a double major, one in pre-med biology. I have also attained a general license in ham radio, wherein we had to learn a lot about radiation because we are using higher radiations in operating for civil defense and for Skywarn and for the hospital backup in emergencies. I have been extremely glad that the regulations that are put forth by Councilmember Evans have been in concern for the health of the community, because I want you to know that in 2020, the most deaths of COVID were in both places that had 5G, and that was Wuhan and Northern Italy. Both of those places had more deaths than anyone else if you look at all the data for 2020. Why was that? That's a very good thing to research before you decide how safe this is. But I think the FCC application is very important. And I think that our Department of Health, they may have to get up to speed a little bit, because I won in a science fair project in 1966 in genetics. I've been into genetics for a long time, and I don't think the financial burdens are too much, or nor the excessive regulation burden, when you consider the health concerns which are brought up even by the World Health Organization themselves, as they brought forth as long ago as 2020, when they classified radio frequency radiations as a potential carcinogen. And they also said this regarding the 5G and use of cell phones, and they reported the litany of health effects, which included DNA single and double strand breaks, which leads to cancer, oxidative damage, which leads to tissue deterioration and premature aging, disruption of cell metabolism, increased blood-brain barrier permeability, melatonin reduction leading to insomnia and increasing
You have
cancer
30
risk,
seconds left.
disruption of brain glucose metabolism, generation of stress proteins leading to a myriad of diseases. I want to tell you that I know about melatonin and about several other things that are going on in our atmosphere. I do hope that you will consider this bill as it's written and not milk it down so that the power of money or the power of corporate can press upon the wonderful, honorable people in the Planning Commission to make a decision less than honorable for our public and our children and our grandmothers. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next testifier, please.
Our last testifier is Leila Vaga. If you can, please unmute yourself and turn on your camera.
Hello.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I do.
Please state your name, the town you reside in, and you may begin. You will have 3 minutes, and I'll let you know when 30 seconds remain.
Thank you. My name is Leila Vaga. I reside in Portland, Oregon. I am here today representing Verizon Wireless. I have also been part of the industry working group that collaborated on the letter that you received that was from the major wireless carriers, along with a few industry organizations. I'm primarily here today to just offer myself as a resource. If you'd like, I have more than 20 years experience working in the wireless industry, and I know it's a highly technical topic. Lots of items in this particular proposed piece of legislation we have concerns about as an industry for various reasons. Those are all detailed in the comment letters. I will not go into detail repeating all of those items, but if there are any questions about any of the elements of the letters or just wireless in general, please note that I'm here as a resource for you. Thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing your deliberations.
Thank you very much for your testimony. All right. Her testimony is in the public records under the. Yeah, I think she meant that she's on the call for us to ask her any questions if we need to. Okay. Where am I now? Okay, any questions for Planning Department staff or Councilmember Evans? There's no questions. I will entertain a motion and we can have discussion. And maybe before I entertain that motion, planning staff, what is the status of the current planning director's bill?
The current planning director bill was sent to the county council. It was then being reviewed by the county clerk's office, who did have edits. Based on the edits that he has suggested, we will be bringing that bill back to the Windward and Leeward Planning Commissions. We will be bringing it to the November Leeward and then the December, the December Windward Planning Commission meeting for you guys to review.
Okay, maybe a suggestion then would be that we hear both bills at the same time to see what the changes are for the planning director's bill, so that we can compare at that time with this bill.
Chair.
Yeah.
The changes are just regarding the form of the ordinance. It's no substantive changes in the actual bill itself as far as what was proposed. It's more just portions of the bill that weren't created properly or documented properly for other sections. When you do an ordinance, there's a certain layout that happens and it's very complex. Sometimes we think we have it all, but sometimes we make a mistake. And so those areas were made clear to us. So we're going to bring it back just to confirm that the commission is approving or providing a recommendation on the complete package. But there was no change to the overall substance of the bill.
Okay, thank you. Maya?
Chair Lynn, having said that, the commission is required to send their recommendation on Bill 194 to council by December 21st.
Okay, so, okay. Our next meeting is December 5th. Do commissioners feel that they need more time to deliberate on this bill, in particular comparing the existing planning director's bill versus this bill?
I think that would help a lot. There's just a lot to consider.
Okay. So if,
I think I would like to see both bills side by side with the language that's going to be in there, even though the substance part of it is the same. I think it's only fair that we see both at the same time. Because if we take action on this, then we have to take action on the planning department's bill as well, or does one negate the other?
I don't believe one negates the other. I think both will be reviewed by the county council through the same process. I think at this point, it would be if we need, more time reviewing this to just digest all the changes comparative to what the planning director's bill was.
Yeah, because there's quite a bit of, there's a lot of differences.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that case, then it would be I would entertain a motion to continue this agenda item until our December 5th.
Mhm.
Okay. So
I'll make that motion. I'll make the motion that we continue.
yeah, this would be agenda item number 8,
yeah.
indicator.
Okay, agenda item number 8, initiator county council PL CCI 2024-9 defer that to the December 5th meeting.
Okay, and just to clarify, that's a continuance of agenda item number 8, so that we can still hear any additional testimony. So it's been moved by Vice Chair Daniele. Is there a second for
I
that?
second.
Seconded by Commissioner Perrin. Okay, any further discussion? I would just say that because we are continuing, if commissioners, you do have suggested amendments, we would take that at that time in the December 5th meeting. And that would be motions to amend the bills. Okay. If there's no other further discussion, then I'll take a roll call vote.
Thank you. Vice Chair Daniele,
Aye.
Commissioner Perrin,
Aye.
Commissioner Baylock,
Aye.
Chair Lynn,
Aye.
and Commissioner Deleuze is excused in absence. The motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So this has been continued until our December 5th meeting. Thank you very much. Okay. Continuing our business here today, we have the planning director's report that was circulated via email. Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding the minor and major SMAs applications on that report? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move on to agenda items for next meeting. To make sure that everybody understand, we did continue 2 agenda items, and now we continue the 3rd. So we have continued the 2 findings of facts and conclusions of law, as well as decision and orders, as well as this bill on Bill 194. And subsequently, we will have a long day that day. It will be a daytime meeting for our regular agenda, and then at starting at 5 will be our special meeting on the general plan. Staff, you have anything to add?
Not really, just to let you know, you have 8 items now for your regular meeting agenda on December 5th.
Thank you very much. Okay. Commissioners, any other comments or announcements? I guess I would make an announcement that we do have a pending commissioner that is in the process. So we do hope that that commissioner gets confirmed and that commissioner would replace the spot that's been vacated by Matthias Cush. Okay. And then the Windward Planning Commission next regular meeting is scheduled for Thursday, December 5th, 2024, here in the County Council Chambers in Hilo. And the public can also testify in person or Zoom. And the date and venue of the meetings are subject to change, so please check our website. And now do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting if there's no other business?
Motion to adjourn meeting.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Perrin. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded by Vice Chair Daniele. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Any opposed? No. The Windward Planning Commission is now adjourned at 2:50. Thank you very much.
The closed captions transcript will be terminated shortly, and those who wish to save the transcript should do so now. Thank you.